Well, welcome in to the Dave & Buster's VIP party. It is great to be with you all. Spencer, a.k.a. Mr. Fancy, joined by my co-host, Ruben, and we have a very, very special guest. Some might say H-Town royalty. Paul Wall, the people's champ, is in the house.
What it do?
Man, Paul, thanks for stopping by, giving us some time. Appreciate that. Ruben is dying to ask you a question,
Yes,
and I'm
sir.
really excited to hear your
Yes,
answer
sir.
to this question.
So, Mr. Wall, I've been thinking about this question since the Super Bowl. Whenever the Houston Texans win and the party is all throughout downtown, what is going to be the one song that unites everyone, where everyone stops what they're doing and they start rapping it together?
Man, there's definitely gonna be a few, but I think the one that's gonna get the loudest roar, it's gonna definitely get some. There's some sing-alongs. We got some classic
Okay.
sing-alongs.
There's so many to choose from.
But the loudest roar, in my opinion, and this isn't my. I'm not saying this is my favorite. I'm just saying, from experience of when we do shows and we play this song or that song or that song, "Wanna Be a Baller."
That's
Wanna Be a Baller.
I think that's really the only correct answer.
Yeah, you can definitely get away maybe with like a Still Tipping or Mo City Dawn or My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me. Fat Pat Tops Drop, of course, Lil Kiki Southside or 25 Lighters on My Dresser.
Yes, sir.
There's definitely June 27 type of all the freestyles, the Little Flips got something in there. You know what I'm saying? But I think the loudest sing along, and I'm just saying because when we perform, we play different songs for breaks. You know what I'm saying? Like just to bring some H-Town nostalgia. And when we play "Wanna Be a Baller," that's the one where they go the loudest. It's the most diverse crowd. Everyone's singing along. So, I look forward to singing that one with you after the Texans.
Oh, yeah.
going
We'll
to
be
be
out
lit.
there. We'll be getting lit. It's going to happen. We're going to
Let's
see it
go.
eventually.
Let's go.
Let me ask you, though, if you could pick any of the Houston teams to win a championship, Texans, Rockets, Astros, I'll even throw our University of Houston Cougars in there. You get to choose one of them to win a championship automatically. Who you going with?
Well, when you threw the Cougars in there, kind of, it's because the NC State, that one from the Five Slammer Jammer, that one still stings, even though I was born in '81, so I didn't, it happened while I was alive. I didn't experience it. I was a little kid, but I just all I can experience is, them rubbing it in our face that they beat NC State, beat U of H. So you kind of threw a wrench in there with the U of H. But other than that, being that the Astros have already won twice. You know what I'm saying? Being that the Rockets have won twice, I definitely got to say the Texans. Texans winning the Super Bowl, it would be huge for the city. You know what I'm saying? I think the Rockets winning one or the Astros winning one definitely will get us hyped. But it's nothing like that Super Bowl.
Yeah, football runs the city.
Well, Mr. Paul Wall, we just want to thank you for being a part of this episode. You are definitely a legend. This means the absolute world, guys. Paul Wall, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate you, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you around, man. Paul Wall, ladies and
Paul Wall,
gentlemen,
everyone. What the
on
hell just
Athletically
happened?
Declined.
What the hell just happened?
Do I get like some people's champ aura because I'm now sitting in the seat?
No,
I mean,
I'm usually happy to see you, Tyler. I'm not happy to see you right now because you just replaced Paul Wall.
Oh my
Yes.
god, dude! I got Texas tatted on my arm.
I got Houston on my back.
'Cause I love the city I'm from.
Baby, H-Town till we fucking drown, baby. H-Town.
All right, we're happy to be here
Someone hit the dump button.
at Dave & Buster's VIP party. It's going down. Tyler, how you been, man?
Dude, I'm losing my voice. We have been doing Find the Flags every day this week. Houston, you have been fantastic, and you have found them in record timing at 2 out of the 4 days. So it's been a pleasure. We are just freaking stoked to be a part of this event with Dave & Buster's. We appreciate them so much and look forward to you guys getting some more of this super legit exclusive content.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun doing big things over here at AD. I'm very, very glad I was able to get here on time. I was fighting crazy H-Town traffic today. It was insane. What normally would have been like an hour, maybe hour 5 minutes, was an hour and 35 minutes today. It was an extra
well,
30 minutes.
welcome to Houston.
Shout out to Waze, because Waze had me
my
navigating
gosh,
through
the
downtown.
Waze.
It had me navigating through downtown Houston. I went by Toyota Center, got here faster. It was.
Let me tell you something,
I felt
Ruben.
like freaking.
Dude, I'm shaking.
This is the only guy that I've ever met that actually uses anything other than Google Maps and the Apple Maps. The first time we went, we did the first ESPN radio show. We rode together, and he goes, "Don't worry, Waze is going to keep us right." And I said, "Waze?" I was like, "You had a friend named Waze? What are you texting this guy getting directions?" And he whips out this app. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, let me show you something." I was like, "Dude, you know way too much detail
Hey,
about
if you're
this
on
program."
Waze, you know it's the truth.
Hey, listen, we did get there in record timing, I will have to say.
The thing that's good about Waze is it shows you where the cops are. That's what I like. And it shows objects in the road. So you know when you can speed, when you need to take it easy. It shows you the detours. Like, not a sponsor yet, but we need to get Waze to
But
sponsor.
the real question is, what would you do when they come for you?
I don't know.
Bad boys. Anyway.
Staying 10 toes down, baby. How
So-
we feeling, though, boys?
Yeah, I feel like madness because there's already been a ton of madness this March Madness
Absolutely.
on. I mean, how many of your brackets have been busted? Because it should be all of them.
Mine was busted the very first game.
I mean, I have one thing to say. Go Pokes. And the gallery. If you don't know, we have multiple McNeese State alumni on the AD team. And let's just say Johnny the Dad, I will give him his flowers, has been calling this for days. Lo and behold, look where we are.
Yeah, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be just as feisty in the next round. The way they look today, they look like they can hang. I know Clemson made it close at the end, but it was one of those games where it was over and they kind of maybe took their foot off the pedal a little bit.
They weren't losing that game.
Yeah, and also, how bad is the ACC? It might as well be the ASS because it is horrible this year. Everyone's fallen. Duke is really going to carry that conference, and I still think they'll be one of the better teams in the tournament, but Louisville goes down. Clemson goes down. It's just what we have seen as the perennial powerhouse in college basketball in years past is probably at best the third best conference in college basketball, and that is probably being generous this year.
And one of the takes that you had, Spence, that you kind of discussed in brief is about like the massive disappointment that Kansas has been this year, right? And at this point at the half right now, number 10 Arkansas is up 47-44.
But that's Coach Cal, man. Coach Cal versus Coach Bill Self, with the winner getting a chance to go to the next round where they most likely will meet Coach Rick Pitino.
Yep.
It's just all-time iconic basketball coaches meeting up in the same bracket. How can you not love March Madness? I know, and now I know both of y'all filled out brackets. So, you know, I'm a nerd, so I follow it, and it does not help, by the way. Following college basketball does not help you with your bracket.
Negative.
In fact, it probably hurts you because I sit there and I overthink and overanalyze all of my picks all week long leading up to Thursday, and then all of them go wrong anyway. So I want to ask y'all, as casual ball lovers, how did y'all fill out your brackets? What was your logic? How did you deduce, and how did you come to your choices?
I want to tell you something right now, Spencer. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Cougs.
All right. Well,
I really thought he was going to go with the Tide there, but okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
you know, I think everyone does 1 to 2 brackets, right? One where it's just, all right, this is what I think is realistically going to happen during the tournament. And then you got the one where you just, you know, you go with your gut, you go with your heart. And which one of those fails first is up to the teams, but I think that's how a lot of people do their brackets nowadays. What about you, Spencer?
Well, I'm looking at KenPom. I'm looking at overall conference records within their conference, records in quad 1, quad 2 victories, if they have bad losses. And that's what I'm saying. I look at all these things that end up not mattering when guys go 5 for 10 from the free throw line and they can't make a shot in clutch time. And it doesn't matter what their KenPom efficiency rankings were and what their net rating in the regular season was. It doesn't matter.
I go with the absolute gut feeling. And when I fill these out, I like to see how, if it's because I was hungry or if it was because that was my inclination. I'll say this. I picked Drake to beat Missouri.
Oh,
Okay. You Drake guy.
Drake guy.
Big Drake
OVO.
guy.
Yeah.
And we want to shout out Italo from Brazil in the chat. We want to also
go.
shout out todo mi gente Latino. We are here at Dave and Buster's celebrating the opening, and it's been a fantastic couple of days leading up to this event, boys.
Yeah, and if you have not seen the full Grizzly video, you want a little bit more content on the shorts that we dropped promoting the grand reopening and the stuff that's been going on this week already, go to the YouTube channel, check it out, do yourself a favor, and see how good of an actor Ruby is.
Fantastic, man. Like,
Future Oscar winner.
I think so. I think I got a Grammy in me too, right? After talking to Paul Wall, I'm feeling motivated to drop a 16
But he's
something.
not a rapper.
I'm not a rapper.
Not a rapper.
Not a rapper.
Not a rapper. Yes, sir. Hit me.
So
based off of your logic, and you were talking about how your logic kind of screws you over.
Yes, it has not done me well this year so far.
After the debacle that has been UNC, which they proved themselves to be in the tournament, but they had fewer quad one wins, whatever that is, than say a West Virginia, and still got in. Do those quad one wins or quad two or whatever the quads, do they even matter?
Well, it's one of those things. All week long, everyone was talking about how criminal it was that UNC got in the tournament. And objectively, everyone's talking about West Virginia and Indiana. I also was championing Boise State. I felt like they deserved to get in the tournament as well. The Mountain West was pretty good this year. But it's one of those things where if you watch the game on Tuesday, yeah, it wasn't right that they got in over them. But did you see the beatdown they put on San Diego State? It's one of those things, now that they're in the tournament, people are going to forget there was controversy because they're going to do well. Now, I'll say this. That's another ACC team. So their first round game tomorrow night, they're playing Ole Miss. We'll see how that one goes. But if it's any inclination about what we've seen today, knowing how good the SEC was this season, I think Ole Miss might blow them out, which would fit because after Tuesday night, I decided to put North Carolina in my Sweet 16. So this is how bad my bracket's going.
Also, following up that, there's been a lot of talk this week after Coach Pitino went on Pat McAfee and started talking. How would you feel about the ACC absorbing the Big East for the basketball?
That would be we would go from the Big 12 being top to bottom the best basketball conference. I know how great the SEC was. Don't hear what I'm not saying, but this year was kind of an anomaly in the SEC, how deep it was. But typically Big 12 is like, that's the premier conference in college basketball. But if the Big East goes to the ACC, you're going to have matchups like Duke and UConn every year. You're going to have Creighton, UNC. Like there's going to be some just absolute powerhouse programs, some blue bloods that are going to start meeting twice a year.
And now you got St. John's over there.
Yeah. I also don't think that'll happen because there's so much history with the Big East. Like they're fighting tooth and nail to keep that conference together every single year because teams leave and they go to the Big Tens and the ACCs. They stay together for basketball. It's not even a conference in football anymore, I don't think. But in basketball, it's such a historic conference. I don't think that's going to.
What about all these coaches from the Big East saying, let's go to the ACC?
Money talks. We know this. In today's world of college sports, money rules it all. It's essentially amateur professional sports now.
I mean, look at the kind of how the head coaches that we've known over the past, call it 5 to 10 years, and how that they have kind of scattered out now. You look at Cal, you look at some of these other guys that have, for whatever reason left the program that they were, quote unquote, synonymous with. And you got to think that, to your point, it's more than just the state of things. It is money.
Absolutely.
Because that is running all of college sports now, in whichever angle you want to look at it.
So, couple games going on right now. Tennessee over Wofford, 48-34. Second half just started. Aggies against Yale, up 8 right now. That was one that me and the Batty on the Boards group, we were kind of looking at that one. Like, are the nerds going to pull it off? They are in it. They're hanging in there, but down 8. Drake, early 5-point lead over Mizzou. And at half, Coach Cal versus Coach Self, 3-point lead. We're waiting. That one should go back, should be back on pretty soon. But
what is your biggest hot take? And when I say that, I mean upset alert that game is yet to be played.
Oh, I was going to say, you want to hear all my bad ones that I've missed?
No, the ones that have yet to be played so far.
Well, I feel like whatever I say now it's going to be the opposite. But I'm feeling very confident about Colorado State against Memphis. It's a very popular 12/5 every single year. The 5 seeds fall to the 12s. The 12 seed is so dangerous every single tournament. And this year, I think the Colorado State team we see, They were, some might say, a little bit underseeded, but they're the hottest team going into the tournament right now. And if they can carry that momentum against a Memphis team, which people were saying didn't really play a whole lot of competition in a weak conference, AAC, they had a great record, though. Whoever comes out of that matchup, a lot of people have already penciled in the Sweet 16 to go up against Florida. So I would say Colorado State's probably the biggest one I'm looking at. Other than that, I was pretty chalky with my bracket this year for the most part. Other than Louisville being in my my Elite Eight, I was pretty chalky this year with my bracket.
So I've got one for you.
Okay, hit me. What's your upset?
And this is a little bit of a biased one. Give me Liberty over Oregon.
Oh my God, I knew it.
Go Flames, baby. James West somewhere is smiling.
Well, one thing I loved about the tournament this year is a personal, selfish thing. Is I loved whenever the bracket was revealed how many AD affiliated schools are in the tournament this year. We got a bunch of McNeese Cowboys. We got a bunch of Liberty Flames. We have a ton of UH Cougars. We got some Texas Longhorns who, even though they lost in the first four, that still technically counts as making the tournament. So good for them. Texas A&M Aggies in it. There's a lot of AD affiliates with this tournament this year. That's why I was making everyone. I was like, you're gonna fill out a bracket. I made him fill out a bracket. I know he's not a college basketball guy, but you're filling out a damn bracket.
Yeah.
That's true. You're Ducks. That's right. How could I forgot?
Once again, we meet again. I didn't even think about that. That is true. That is very true.
And I'll say Oregon is a team I have in my Sweet 16. I think, especially, they have a history under their coach. They do not lose in the first round of the tournament. They're, I think, 6 or 7-0 in the first round of the tournament.
But you know what they say, Spencer? History in records like that is they're meant to be broken.
They were meant to be broken.
Rewrite history, folks. How does he feel knowing there's 0 balls in that chat?
And Dylan could not beat me one-on-one. I know he thinks he can. He would get smoked if he played me one-on-one. He has no chance.
Hey, pull up the Dave and Buster's. We'll get you on the 3-point challenge.
0 chance of beating me one-on-one, Dylan. Zero.
Shout out Dylan, always showing
You
up.
and your D3 baseball scholarship. Ain't scared.
Oh, my gosh.
Congrats on that, though, still, by the way.
Okay, so, Ruby, question.
Go ahead.
One of the big topics, and I know that you've been watching because of the AFC South, something that I've been watching because of the involvements the Jets have had, the #1 pick in the NFL draft. Cooled down, the Jets signed Justin Fields. Now, and right shortly after that, it showed that the Giants and the Jets obviously kind of vying for that spot. The Giants also kind of pull out of that. And then it's kind of looked at, okay, I guess nothing's going to happen here with this #1 pick. What I have been hearing is that they have, since the combine, fallen in love with Ward. What are your thoughts? Does that pick move? And if not, where do they go #1?
You know, I think they do go with Cam Ward. Coach Callahan, he wants his quarterback, and he made it known as early as week 2 last year that Will Levis was just not his guy, and, you know, just talked harshly about him through the entire season. Every mess up that Will Levis had, Callahan was just telling him, this is why we lost. I do think they go with Cam Ward. I think he's been the #1 pick there for a while there. He is the favorite in Vegas to be the #1 overall pick. My only question is he going to bring that nonchalant throwing to the NFL? Because if he does and he gets popped one time, you know, it's going to be real interesting. But I do think the Titans go with Cam Ward. But, hey, it's the Titans. It's run by Amy Adams, who looks like a piece of pink chewing gum. They could fuck this up.
Dump button.
Yeah. You got to be on that bleep button on Ruben, man.
I apologize.
So, dude, look, this is what you can expect here. The party is always at Dave and Buster's. So, this is the way I look at it. I think Cam Ward, from a size standpoint, I'm not worried about him getting hit. I'm more worried about a guy like Shedeur Sanders, and because the thing that I've looking at, because this is for, you know, go ahead and put this out for you guys. My quarterback rankings goes 1 is Cam. I'm going to go right now 2 is Shedeur, because I think that it's just crazy to look at him and say that he's not a good quarterback. I think that he's a talented quarterback. My issue is with what he does to a culture of a franchise. Is he coachable, and can he handle the criticism of a media and a market that he will probably end up being, will be a larger market? But 3 is Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is the third best quarterback in this draft, and I think he does have one of the highest ceilings. I still am a lot higher than I know. Me and Spence kind of differ a little bit on our feeling on Cam Ward and how he can kind of implement himself long term. But I do think that the pocket awareness of Cam Ward is going to be the biggest thing with the Titans, because the offensive line isn't the worst in the league. It is not good, but we have seen, I mean, let's just be honest right now. The Texans offensive line, there isn't an offensive line. And to me, looking at situations like that, there could be worse lines, but when you have a mobile guy like that, when you have somebody that can come in there and has a good deep ball, like you're not having to fine-tune some of these big things. I look like he's got a good arm. The ball comes out quick. Can he refine the short and intermediate throws? And can he work around not playing hero ball? We've seen this time and time again with kids that come out of college in these situations where they're a dual threat quarterback. They've got a higher draft ceiling. And let's just be honest, what have these guys accomplished in college? Not a lot. They haven't. Neither one of them have won Heismans. So when you look at the body of work, it does, from a accomplishment standpoint, why? Is it just your team? Was there things to where, it was just the ability to recruit? I don't think that is all there, because as we have seen, like let's talk about Colorado, for instance, that is a coaching staff that top to bottom is full of NFL veteran knowledge, right? And they did not have a horrible team. Looking at Miami, I feel like there is a lot more on the shoulders of Cam Ward and the success that was there than I do look at what Travis Hunter's impact to Shedeur Sanders was. So for what that's worth, those are things I weigh really heavy with those guys. And the talk of the combine was Shedeur Sanders' attitude.
Yeah, but have you been paying attention today about like him kind of fighting all that, saying it's just like there's a lot of noise? I really feel like he's really starting to turn into a player that is now overhated, right? Like
Shedeur?
At first he was, sure.
Yeah.
At first he was probably a little bit overhyped. He was a bit overrated for a while, but it's one of those things where the pendulum has swung too far the other way, and now he's kind of underrated. And now, like people talking about him slipping out of the first round,
That won't happen.
That's wild to me. He's someone, again, we talk about this every year. He is the perfect prototypical guy that if you want to have someone that you can kind of maybe develop, trade up into the end of the first round so you get that fifth-year option, so that if he pans out, hey, we got that extra year under wraps for him. But I never have been a big fan of anyone in this class personally. I don't see a true franchise-altering talent. I know Cam Ward can do some good things, and I would say he is my quarterback
Ceiling,
one.
right? There's a lot of good ceiling.
Sure, but what I would see, I think he's going to have a rough rookie year. I don't see any of these rookies coming through and having just. No. I think Ashton Genty is going to run away with the rookie of the year.
I think Hampton's going to give him a lot more run for his money.
Sure.
Than what people
Look behind you, boys. Look behind you. We got the
SaberCats.
H-Town. If it's got H-Town in front of it, we ride.
That's right.
Wait, hold on. He's yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shout out to the SaberCats for giving us the opportunity to do Find the Flag there today. That's where it was stationed, and did some cool content. You should go check that out, and you should go to a game.
Yes.
Because Alex may see you there potentially.
Listen,
future plans.
Get yourself to a SaberCat game. Rugby is one of the most fun sports to watch, and it's even better to watch in person. The hits, you hear them from the stands. You hear the communication between these boys, and you're like, wow, even though it looks so chaotic out there, they're locked in. The scrums are amazing to watch. Shout out to rugby. That's a sport that, I used to play back in the day. Shout out to the SaberCats. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to U of H Rugby Club. Shout out to a couple of practices. Was though, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't good.
Would you say you're athletically declined?
You're a D1 athlete, though.
I was athletically declined.
Hey, you get to tell people you're a D1 athlete, though. Because that's the highest level at U of H.
Okay.
Look at that.
Listen,
ultimate free.
Any sport that you have to tape your butt up, it's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have bodily injuries to your butt and you have to tape it so that it doesn't happen.
Wait. What are you taping?
Protect the sphincter.
Yep. Right over the booty hole.
Yikes.
Oh yeah. But
what happens if you don't?
I don't know. I just know that in rugby, it's like wearing a cup in baseball. It's just what you do.
You have to take your cheat.
I don't think you have to, but it's highly recommended.
Wow.
And one of the best, well, not the best parts, but like, let's say someone gets absolutely murdered on the field. They got to keep on playing. Like, they don't stop. There's no injury timeout.
There's no subs?
I mean, they have to work it in, but like, if you get cracked, no
So
one's
it's like-
going to help you get
It's
up.
like hockey in that
Yeah,
regard.
you got to keep on going.
Man, that's exactly what I was thinking.
You're just an obstacle for your own teammates at that point.
Yeah.
You're a man down in the scrum. So, yeah.
Man.
But what you were talking about with the quarterbacks, I'd like to chime in there.
Oh.
So I have probably a different take on a lot of these quarterbacks than y'all do.
Talk to me.
I personally have Cam Ward as the third quarterback.
Ooh, I like that. That's spicy.
I do have Cam Ward as my third quarterback. I have Shadur Sanders as number 2.
Oh my God! Don't.
He was completing 72% of his passes behind one of the worst O-lines in the league in the entire NCAA. It was so bad. He is a great, consistent passer. I don't think he's going to be an all-time great, but I think he has the patience. He's got the placement for the ball, and he got destroyed all last year.
You're still talking about Shador, right?
Yes.
He has great anticipation. That is something on Shador that is not as there in the same degree with Cam for sure. And you can also look back at who is his mentor. His mentor, it's been well documented. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah, and also, who is he throwing to? I mean, you've got Travis Hunter, who is one of the best wide receivers in college football. But then after that, who's after that? Horn? What round is he going in?
Probably undrafted.
Exactly. So he's throwing to a bunch of nobodies out there, as opposed to all these other guys who I think Cam Ward had 3 people on like what's the wide receiver of the year?
Biletnikoff.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. He had 3 like preseason Biletnikoff like watch people, and so he's throwing a bunch of studs. And number 1, I sent this in the group chat the other day.
Yep, you did.
Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart more than any of these quarterbacks. He has played a lot of football.
I want to be there where you're at right now so bad. His mechanics are the most polished mechanics of any of these quarterbacks in this draft. The only issue that I have in what I think the biggest reason why he's not looked at as number 1 is because Trey Harris went down last year. Trey Harris doesn't go down last year. Trey Harris is your number 1 receiver, which we talked about on 3-man rush. And I think that Jackson Dart becomes the guy that you're trying to put between 1 and 2.
I also like Jackson Dart in crunch time. He is great. He's got the clutch gene. I know Johnny the Dad's over there. He is not happy with this take, but it's okay. You'll be all right. But also, he is a white. So what does that mean? Whenever you talk about him,
man.
he is sneaky athletic.
First one in, last one out.
I think he ran like a 4.6 40.
He's
so
a gym
he's
rat.
not
He's
slow.
gritty.
Yeah, he's
He got a
crafty.
lot of heart.
Yeah, he's a lunch pail, first guy in, last guy out.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
all the tropes. All the tropes.
I'm a big
Oh, I love this.
Jackson Dart fan.
I love this.
And I saw someone trying to troll Tyler by saying, "Let the Jets take Jackson Dart
I would love
and
that.
be in pain forever." And I was like,
Well, hang
"That's a
on.
good pick."
So, Alex.
I mean, I don't think he should be where the Jets are
That's
actually
what.
picking.
Okay. That's
no.
what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you next. He's your number 1 quarterback. How number 1 quarterback is he for you, though?
So it wouldn't be my favorite pick, but I would be all right with them taking him at their slot.
Okay.
But I think we all agree these quarterbacks are not the best players in the
No.
draft.
No, definitely not. I think Abdul Carter is the top player in the draft
Very
by
much
a by a great
And
margin.
as bad as the Browns are, if he slips to the Browns, that defensive line, there's going to be monsters on both sides.
Yep.
Do you remember where the Giants are picking at?
The Giants are picking 4, 7. I don't know. I'll look
Pick
it
the
up.
4.
I have a laptop in
If
front of me.
I'm just telling y'all right now, if I'm Brian Daboll, this is such a Brian Daboll move because I agree. I look at when I'm looking at quarterbacks in the draft,
The Giants are picking 3rd.
There are 2 distinctive differences in how I rank a quarterback versus where I think where I think they're going to get picked versus who I think is going to be the better quarterback of the draft. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because I do think of the 3, Jackson Dart has everything that I want to say that I would put money on him versus the others. However, I don't think where it stands that he's the guy that I'm going to spend a higher pick on. He's the guy that you get the Lamar Jackson play from.
So you what I hear you saying is you kind of like you would not draft him first overall in terms of like
Correct.
quarterbacks, but you think we're in the simulation where he ends up being the best one.
Yes, and I'm telling you right now, do not be surprised if Brian Daboll looks at him knowing what he
At
was.
3?
Let me finish. They trade down from 3. They stockpile more picks. And let's say it's a team like maybe like the Steelers, who maybe lose out on Aaron Rodgers, come up to grab a guy like a Shador, somebody like that with in a strict locker room like a Tomlin could probably do really well with weapons around him. And now they're sitting back. Where are the Steelers at? You got it pulled up?
The Steelers are way down there. The Steelers are picking 21st. I don't see, but you got me
get
thinking.
what I'm saying,
Well,
though.
let's continue this further. Let's look at some actual realistic options to do a trade up. Because I honestly, maybe they could trade up from 21 to 3, but that would be
I don't think Jackson would last.
a lot to do that. But just let's look at maybe the top. Let's do top 10.
How about the Saints?
Bears, they're good. The Saints, that's a team that could jump from 9 to 3. Panthers, they're good. Jets, they could jump from 7 to 3.
I don't see that happening.
I think you don't want it to happen.
No, I seriously don't think it's happening because I think that there is more stock. And I said this. We've had the conversation where you said, well, I think that you said that you think that Garrett Wilson's going to be gone. And
I said that assuming Aaron Rodgers was going to come back.
Right. With him, either way, I've said from the very beginning, they are wanting to make him happy over Brees, over Sauce, any of them, because they understand what the talent is there. And the way that they made him happy is they brought a Ohio Buckeyes reunion there, where he had his coming out party, and where Jeremy Ruckert made the most noise was with Justin Fields. That is another announcement.
Look, I'll say this. I think they definitely have a solid belief in Justin Fields in New York. However, they gave him
2 years.
2 years.
You're right.
That is not any kind of a long-term commitment at all. And that also is 2 years. That's 2 years where they could groom a rookie to take over when they eventually let him go.
Now,
And as much as we want to keep Garrett Wilson happy, you know what keeps him happier than anything? Winning.
yards, touchdown.
Well, if he's a prima donna, sure, but
So let me ask you
winning
this.
should be number one.
What about if the Jets trade down with the Saints? Now, in that position, yeah, give me Jackson Dart.
Well, let's keep going because we're looking at the third pick for the Giants. So Jets, you say out. I think that could be a possibility. The Raiders, they just traded for Geno.
You bring Shador in. But
He tweeted, "Thank God," after every Raiders loss.
Yeah, I think if I'm Shador Sanders, if I'm Dion, that environment, Tom Brady's there. You brought in Pete Carroll. You know his history of how he took a fifth-round pick in Russell Wilson in whenever they signed an extension, a big deal with Matt Flynn that year, and ended up working him around into being the starter. Like, there's a history there of being able to develop. All of those factors, how close is that to Boulder? That's pretty close compared to some of these other teams. I think if I'm Shador, that's your perfect situation.
Yeah, maybe the Colts at 14. That's another interesting
That is
team.
very
Though it's a little bit out of the top 10. They'd probably have to give up a little bit more. I don't know how you would feel about that if the Colts were to trade up for a Jackson Dart or a Shador Sanders from where they're at. 14,
What do you think
jumping
they're
to
giving
3.
up on Anthony Richardson?
I think
They signed Daniel Jones.
From my brother from the Round Table, Bring the Juice podcast. It's here for competition. That's
what I
it's
think.
like. It's here for Anthony Richardson to not only prove to himself that he can win the job, but prove to his team that he can be quarterback one. Now, it's not saying a lot beating Daniel Jones, but
Indiana
a win
Jones.
is a win. And like CJ Stroud said, who wants to go to Indy? So it's going to be between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. I don't think they take a quarterback in the first round.
Y'all know the Colts gave Daniel Jones more money than the Vikings gave Sam Darnold last year. And I know part of that's like the salary cap increased, but that's a very strong belief in Daniel Jones. I think he would beat out Anthony Richardson personally. And I don't think that's pretty.
We'll see.
And I'm not acting
We'll
like he's some
see.
good quarterback. Don't hear me what I'm not saying. But I think they signed him, and they're going to give him, like, the leg up. I think he'll be the first one to get first-team reps over Anthony Richardson.
Are you serious?
In training camp, yeah.
I think they brought in Daniel Jones to mentor Anthony Richardson on how to be a professional.
Oh my God,
I'm not saying Daniel Jones was a great quarterback.
I get what you're
but
saying.
Did you ever hear anything negative from the locker room or coaching staff about Daniel Jones?
No, a lot of his teammates actually loved him.
Exactly.
I mean,
look-
vice
look at-
versa.
look at-
What else can you say when you're the reason why the team is losing, right? You don't
I
want
mean,
to.
you're not the reason your ownership just traded away let Saquon
Fair.
leave for nothing. So, I mean,
That Hard Knocks clip will live in infamy
Oh, yeah.
forever. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
the most insane clip.
And it's
Ever.
it's not exactly the same, obviously, because Daniel Jones was brought in to be a number one quarterback, paid like a number one quarterback. But I kind of look at this to Alex's point. When they brought in Mike White with Zach Wilson, they brought him in there for quarterback competition, and it ended up being more of a mentorship role of showing you how to be a veteran in this league. We see this happen a lot, and Daniel Jones has been through a lot of scrutiny in his career, and obviously seeing like the trials that Anthony Richards has gone through, whether that's through injury or not. Daniel Jones is a guy that definitely can help him get through that and not, for whatever, the case, like potentially not have to, lose out and have a Vince Young situation where mentally you just lose sight of being a football player.
Yeah, and Vince Young is an interesting case study of how just because you're top 3 pick, it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean it's gonna work out.
Doesn't mean anything.
just like Jamarcus.
Oh, that fat Jabba the Hutt, no good. He spent his contract on a bunch of donuts.
With that blank DVD, go watch that tape. Did you watch the tape? Oh yeah, I watched it all week.
Oh, yeah.
man. There was
saw the
nothing
blitz
on
There
there.
was nothing
Packages.
on that tape.
Yeah, he's literally the reason why they redid the CBA, because they no longer wanted to be able to have quarterbacks that could just demand 7-year, $100 million at that time, 7-year, $100 million. Isn't that crazy? That's what a big contract used to be. But he was signing that before the draft even started, and we knew who the first pick was going to be. And they were like, okay, yeah, we could never let that happen again. We have got to have a CBA in place where we know what the first round pick or the first overall pick is going to make per year.
Yeah, I will never forget, like, talk about $100 million, like, type contracts. The Kirk Cousins deal that ended up getting the fully guaranteed $100 million, when that was, like, the first fully guaranteed deal.
And it ended up being a pretty good
Oh,
contract.
for sure. But I remember it came down between the Vikings and the Jets, and that was going to happen. And, like, obviously, the Jets were like, yeah, we're not doing that. And the Vikings doing it, it was just like, gosh, dude, that's so much money. And now we've got, the deals that we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And me and my buddy were talking about this at the beginning of free agency. We never see deals longer than like 4-5 years now. Even like teams re-signing their own guys.
Yeah.
But back whenever we were kids, you got guys throwing out 7-8 year contracts like it was hotcakes.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like the
Mahomes,
standard.
That 10-year.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I have a big conspiracy theory about that. Do you know, like, the timing of whenever that happened? That it was like a few weeks later. Then it was announced that he had I don't remember how much of it was, but he basically got ownership of the Royals. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
My conspiracy is the way they were able to make that contract work in that time, because again, that was like outrageous during that time, was that they made some agreement to where he got it. Again, I don't know that for sure, but that's my conspiracy if you were asking, and you weren't, but whatever.
No, that's a solid theory. I don't think that's crazy. We got the Windhorse fingers up already.
Where's my tin hat?
What's going on?
Tinfoil. Need it. Okay, guys. So what game are you most excited to play here at D&B tonight?
I need to play some Time Crisis personally.
I think Connect 4 basketball would be pretty nice.
They got the big 3-point.
Okay, we
Which
can
I didn't
do
know they
that.
had that, but dude, I can't wait to see Rachel get in the human claw machine.
Oh.
I have been jazzed to watch somebody get in that thing.
So jazzed.
Yeah.
We also want to shout out Gin and Juice by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg for giving us the tight snapbacks here.
Dude.
Is that what we got right here? Ooh.
And the ALK was pretty good.
Solid.
It's pretty good. You see that, you see that purple, you think, yep, that's something that Snoop Dogg did. Mm-hmm. Went down smooth, so smooth you had to look at it like, this could get me to where I need to be. And that's exactly
this will
what you
do the
want in
trick.
an alcoholic
Yeah.
beverage.
That's what I needed.
I drink a beer.
Drink another beer.
I drink another beer.
2 beers.
3 beers.
4 beers.
Case race at Dave and Buster's, ladies and gentlemen. That's the goal at the end of the day in the future. One question, boys, and I'm not sure if you thought a lot about it yet, but I know Spencer has, is what is this Houston Texans team going to do at pick 25? Now that you signed left tackle Cam Robinson, you can go into the first round saying maybe I don't have to heavily invest into the offensive line in the first round. Maybe I could go BPAA Matthew Golden, who met with the Houston Texans yesterday and then, tweeted the little 100 emoji right after. I don't know what that means, but
We getting cryptic on X, man.
Hey,
It's
you love
draft
that.
season. I love getting cryptic on X. It's
I
the
think
best.
we see another trade up, bro. We see another trade up.
But who would the trade up be for? Would it be for a Matthew Golden or would it
It's
be
for
for a Kelvin Banks, Josh Simmons?
It's for Golden. I'm telling you, dude.
I kind of feel that way too. I'm not even
I
gonna
feel
lie
like
to
the
you.
Texans, I think Casario, to me, has cemented himself as one of the top 5 best GMs in the NFL.
Okay.
And I think when I
High
look
praises. I appreciate that.
when I look at those guys, they understand the way not only the way where the league is now, but where it's going, and that is speed. We have seen this every year over the past 3 years. One of the bigger teams, Kansas City's done it. We saw with Zay Jones in Baltimore. We have seen guys time and time again where they've gone after speed first, and I think again we're going to see that.
I think shout out the late great Al Davis.
Yep.
If you run less than a 4.3, we are taking you in the top 10 if the Oakland Raiders are on the clock.
Darius Hayward-Bay.
Darius Hayward,
yeah.
Henry Ruggs.
And we're going to
RIP.
leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. This was a fantastic episode here at Dave & Buster's, the grand reopening. We had Alex. We had Jet. And we had Spencer. And you already know who I am, Mr. 713. Any final words, Jet?
Man, you guys make sure you stay tuned in. You might see Jet and Jetland next week, so stay tuned for that. That could get real interesting. And just make sure y'all are tuned in. We got the AD 2-year anniversary coming up, April 4th. Look out for things for that. And
Shout out, Powell.
guys, y'all are going to be seeing some very interesting things play out over the next couple of weeks, so you need to stay tuned.
Can you give
Stay
like a
alert.
little tidbit,
Give him a little nugget, a little chicken nugget.
Because here's the thing. What we're doing here is something that hasn't been done in Houston. We are seeing a team being built from the ground, and potentially some great things are coming in the near future. What can you give us?
I'll just say this, boys. They say the weekend is for the boys.
Okay.
Bussin' was cool. They like to leave, but we're by the fans for the fans, and I like to kick over bar stools.
Okay.
Okay. Alex, anything final you got to say?
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Hey, Batty on the boards Sunday night. We're doing first and second round recap and predictions for the Sweet 16. It's going to be awesome.
Tell Houston.
Tell them I love them.
Sign off.
Oh. Well, I don't know what you tell them what. Hey,
Do the thing. Hey, do the
H-Town,
thing.
we love you. Thanks for stopping by. If you're in the area, make sure you come out to Dave & Buster's today and/or tomorrow and come hang out for their grand reopening. And until then, until we see you next time, H-Town, y'all take it easy.
H-Town till we down. Dino, we
sleazy.
love you, Dino.